Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we're going to be discussing Harry Potter and, you guessed it, Hogwarts Legacy. Most importantly, however, we're going to be looking at where these two worlds diverge, tackling the question of whether or not Hogwarts Legacy should be considered a genuine part of Harry Potter canon. What is canon? But now many of you may be asking yourselves, what exactly is canon? And what prior content that's been published under the Wizarding World label fits this description? In order to set the stage, I feel that this needs to be appropriately defined. In the context of fictional works, canon refers to a collection of works that are considered to be authentic and produced by the original author or authors of a particular series or universe. The concept of canon in fiction is important in establishing and understanding the boundaries of a particular universe or series and the extent to which subsequent works are considered to be part of that universe. Simply put, if it wasn't written and or endorsed by the original author or creator of said work, then it must be considered separately from that main body of work. Anyone could write a book about Harry Potter, but that wouldn't make it canon, it would just make it fan fiction. However, there are a few loopholes here with regards to publication. Prior to the release of Hogwarts Legacy, the following books and films were responsible for establishing the existing canon. I've attempted to put them in order of canonicality. Number 1. The main Harry Potter novels. The 7 Harry Potter novels written by J.K. Rowling and published between 1997 and 2007 are considered to be the core of Harry Potter canon. 2. The movies. The 8 Harry Potter films, Philosopher's Stone through Deathly Hallows Part 2, are considered by most to adequately fit the definition of canon. They were endorsed by the author and they fit into the framework of the novels, so it's hard to complain too much. The only gripes that some may have with the films is that they sometimes contradict the books, which should ultimately be considered core canon. 3. Fantastic Beasts. The Fantastic Beasts films, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and The Secrets of Dumbledore serve as prequels to the Harry Potter story and should be treated as canon. These screenplays were written by J.K. Rowling herself, and that fact alone serves as irrefutable evidence that these films are in fact canonical. 4. Cursed Child. Here's where things get a little shaky. The Cursed Child is a stage play based on an original story by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne, and John Tiffany. It is the 8th story in the Harry Potter series and is set 19 years after the events of the final novel, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The play follows the adventures of Harry Potter's son, Albus Severus Potter, and his friend, Scorpius Malfoy, as they navigate the challenges of being the children of 2 of the most famous wizards in history. Many deny The Cursed Child canon status for the following reasons. 1. It's a play and not a novel. 2. It wasn't solely written by J.K. Rowling. Because the story wasn't written exclusively by Rowling and was instead co-written by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne, many view the story of The Cursed Child as something entirely separate from Harry Potter canon. 3. It contradicts canon. Because aspects of The Cursed Child are inconsistent with the original series, like Voldemort having a child, many view the story as glorified fan fiction, denying it canon status. 5. Most games. Since the Harry Potter books, films came out, there have been countless Harry Potter games released across a ton of different platforms. Most of these games, however, were lacking. They didn't have the story, they didn't have the playability, and they were totally inconsistent with regards to existing Harry Potter canon. I think that Hogwarts Legacy and all of the incredible content it introduces is the only Harry Potter game that's even a part of this canon conversation. But with all of the above established, the question remains, what about Hogwarts Legacy? Is it canon, and where would it fit on the above list? Briefly catering to those who live under a rock, Hogwarts Legacy is the latest and greatest Harry Potter game that introduces us to the Wizarding World in the 19th century, over a century prior to the events that take place in the Harry Potter novels. It follows the story of our character, a 5th-year student at Hogwarts, embarking on his own journey through the Wizarding World, exploring new places, interacting with new faces, and learning new spells. The game boasts an exceptional level of detail, and is perhaps the greatest thing to happen to Harry Potter since the original books' films. But is it canon? Well, I think that's entirely up for debate. Let me guide you through the arguments for and against Hogwarts Legacy being canon. Arguments and counterpoints. The main argument, and only worthy argument, for Hogwarts Legacy not being a part of canon is that it was simply not endorsed by J.K. Rowling. Effectively, what this means is that the game's story and characters were not created by the original creator of the Harry Potter universe, and therefore are not an extended component of the original fictional world. This argument against Hogwarts Legacy being canon is quite a blow by itself, but hear me out for a second. First of all, just because Rowling has repeatedly stated that she isn't involved, it doesn't mean that's actually the case. Rowling has been the target of considerable scrutiny in recent years, which has led to her gradual disassociation from content released by Warner Bros. Media. Effectively, Warner Bros. Media don't want Rowling's current reputation to harm sales of the game. With that said, however, I bet she's got some sort of a hand in how the game was developed, whether she's willing to publicly admit it or not. Second of all, there have been a few standalone instances in which content produced by someone other than the original author has been considered canon, largely through a loophole of sorts pertaining to the company responsible for publishing said content. The Oz series by L. Frank Baum is a perfect example of this. Official canon pertaining to the Oz series is comprised of the primary 14 books written by Baum himself. However, there is also the inclusion of the Royal Book of Oz, which was written by author Ruth Plumley Thompson after Baum's demise. Despite the Royal Book of Oz being written by another author, and after the death of the original author, it's still accepted as canon due to its authenticity and authorization by the original publisher. Basically, in some instances, the endorsement of the publisher is enough to perpetuate what can be considered canon. I know, this was news to me too. In the case of Hogwarts Legacy, this could be considered a legitimate argument for the game being canon, but I do also think it falls on consumer interpretation. The Cursed Child is a perfect example of this. Technically, it's canon, but sometimes authors, publishers make mistakes. Harry Potter fans will stand behind the original books 100%, but a screenplay that was only partially written by Rowling that also happens to contradict aspects of the story, well, that's harder to get behind. With all that said, here are some more reasons why Hogwarts Legacy might be a purer form of canon than other more endorsed Harry Potter releases. First of all, it doesn't contradict canon. At least, not to a significant degree. I'm still in my first playthrough, but I've been consistently impressed with how they've managed to integrate this game into such a complex universe full of rich lore. One notable contradiction to canon, however, is that players are able to obtain the Elder Wand, which, as we know, can be fully traced back through history. On that note, if you want to see the wand's full history, then check out my video, The Bloody Story of the Elder Wand, All Owners, Harry Potter Explained. With that said, however, I'm willing to accept this minor canon blunder, largely due to the fact that developers and story builders did an otherwise amazing job. Setting the game in the late 1800s was an ingenious move, as this part of wizarding history is close enough to what we already know, but far enough away that there was plenty of room for them to world build. The other argument, which ties into what I said earlier, is that the game is produced by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment's Quay Games, which is a subsidiary of Warner Bros. This company specializes in creating games and mobile apps based on J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, and has direct ties to the official Harry Potter franchise. My last point, which is based solely off of my own opinion, is that the game feels much more Harry Potter-y than anything else released after the original books and films. To me, the game feels more like Harry Potter than Fantastic Beasts and the Cursed Child combined. Perhaps not everyone shares that sentiment, but that's what I think. In the past, I've expressed that canon must be written by the original author, but in this instance, I'm going to have to amend my previous statement when I say that in some cases, true canon can be influenced by the opinions of fans and creators affiliated with the franchise. What do you guys think? Do you think that Hogwarts Legacy should be considered true canon? Do you agree with my canon tier list? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also be sure to include any video requests you might have pertaining to the Wizarding world. As always, if you enjoy the content, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.